Alright, today I want to do a step-by-step little video on how I survive the Long Dark Interloper from the very beginning of where you spawn, and pretty much where to go after that, and how to survive your first couple days. So right now I just spawned in Forlorn Muskeg. It is morning time, and I'm by the waterfall. So I want to pick up as many cattails, and I want to grab a few stones also. But you definitely want to grab as many cattails as you can, especially if you spawn on a map like Forlorn Muskeg where there's a lot of cattails to be grabbed. You also want to be making sure that you're grabbing as many sticks and other collectibles that you can find, since they're very finite, and you might not be coming back to Forlorn Muskeg for quite a while. I know that if you spawn in Forlorn Muskeg, one of the things you're going to be trying to do is head into Mystery Lake, get everything you need to collect in order to forge, and running back here to forge. But that'll take quite a while. Multiple days at least. Right now, if you come down from the waterfall, you can see that there is a train track right up ahead of us, and we're going to be running across it. One of the few things you need to be wary about, especially on this map, is the fact that there's going to be wolves all over the main water. So what I'm trying to do right now is just gather as many cattails as I can and like run as fast as I can over to the homestead so that I can try to save as much health as I possibly can. Looks like there's a wolf on my left side, so I'm going to want to stay on the right here. I don't really have a set method for crossing over all this. I just kind of go where I see fit. The area we're trying to get to is actually pretty much right in front of us. Rose hips here, they can be used to make tea, which is really useful because it will give you a warming up bonus after you make it. Really useful to make sure you grab all those. These here, old man's beard, you can use them as dressing if you ever get hit by a wolf or something. Maybe a bear, you can go ahead and use that. It'll be like antiseptic, which is really heavy, so you don't really want to grab it. Oh, that doesn't sound good. There's actually a wolf right there. This is going to be a bit of a hazard for us. We don't want to get too close to him, so maybe run across that. Maybe he'll leave us alone. Seems like he's just kind of chilling over there now. We are now going to just kind of run as fast as we can around this. I don't know if the wolf will really harm us. We have quite a bit of energy, and we're almost where we need to get. Wolves aren't super scary at the very beginning. As long as you're looking at them, they pretty much won't attack you. So we just want to keep our eyes on him, try to break line of sight, and run a little bit. If we could possibly break line of sight long enough, I think he may end up completely, entirely leaving us alone. We want to make sure we're watching behind us, because he could come up behind us and smack us. Alright. We don't want to get frostbite, so you definitely want to be in a bit of a quick pace at the very beginning. This wolf is right on us. We have a stone just in case he gets too close. It's not the best way to deal with wolves, but it's what we have. We can't really get a torch right now. I feel like this is a pretty good guide as to how to stay away from wolves and make sure you don't die. Once we get into this homestead, we should be perfectly fine. We're going to go ahead and run. It'll take him a little while to get over here. I don't think he will come in to the top of this. Okay, he ran away. Good news for us, because we need to get a fire working. Once you get to this homestead, you really need to start a fire so that you can stay warm. Usually when I try to start a fire, I want to have a torch in my hand, because you're going to not have to waste matches, because starting a fire is not a 100% chance. But the first fire you start, you're probably not going to get that luck. And you don't want to waste a flare or anything in Interloper, because you need to keep those. Go ahead and add some fuel in order to warm this place up. And now we're starting to gain temperature. Now let's go ahead and search this place completely. We'll get our temperature back, and we're probably going to leave this place today. Let's go ahead and put these new shoes on. They are much better. You can see that we have a frostbite risk and almost full on this one, so we need to get rid of those risks entirely, get full heat, and then leave afterwards. We have just about enough daylight, more than likely. We need to break this down, and let's open up the safe. Alright, sweet. We got some good food, and we got some stuff to start fires with. Now, we know that our fire is going to last quite a while, so let's go ahead and break that wood down. We got a bit of wood, we got a bit of food, we got some stuff to start fire with. We have an hour left of fire. Let's go ahead and make sure I searched all of this. Looks like I did. Now, we're going to want to grab some torches in order to get out of here. Looks like a storm could be brewing, but we're not able to stay here another night. Or we're not able to stay here through the night, so we need to get going quickly. And we're probably going to need to start a fire on the way. You want to make sure that you're keeping your temperature up in the early stages, because you have nothing covering your head or your hands, which you can get frostbite on. So getting too cold, not only do you lose health, but you can get frostbite, which I think is a permanent thing. I don't think you can get rid of frostbite. I think it's just something that takes away 10% of your health forever. So we want to stay away from that. If you end up getting frostbite at the beginning of the game, it's probably worth restarting. When you go from the homestead on this map, you kind of just head out towards what would be, if that's the north, This would be east. There's going to be a bridge here with a few cabins that are broken down. You want to head this way. This Mystery Lake's going to be way up over there. There are going to be guaranteed match spawns inside certain buildings when you spawn in particular regions. And inside of Forlorn Muskeg, the guaranteed match spawn is inside of the homestead that we were just at with the forge. So that is why we ran there, because you're not able to survive very easily without matches. I didn't want to waste any time and make any water while I was there. I just kind of want to get going as soon as possible, but I will need to make some water here soon. I figured I need to start a fire before I ended up making it to where I needed to go. Good news, it's later in the day, so our temperature's going down really slowly, even with the bad clothing we have on. This is a tip that I have for the wolves. If you have a stone, you can press 2 on PC, and you can aim a rock while standing behind your torch, and the wolves will run away. He's going to keep following us, so we're probably going to have to do that one more time. Let's hope he runs the opposite direction. This is a guaranteed way just to get wolves to run away, though. They won't attack you when you have a torch out unless you get really close. That can sometimes happen unluckily, but usually you're fine. Our water's getting pretty low, so I think that whenever we get over to that hill over there, we're going to go ahead and start a fire, which is not the best time. We just don't want a blizzard to hit, and it can really hit at any time. Interloper has very unforgiving weather. Here I see some reshy mushrooms over here. We're definitely going to want to grab these. These can be used to make antibiotic tea. Really good in case you get any type of food poisoning. Not only is holding a torch out good to keep you away from, like, keep wolves away, but it also is just a great way to carry fire without having to use matches. And you don't want to run out of matches. Looks like we found a pretty good area here to start a fire. We're going to make sure that we use our torch to try to start this. Dehydration will kill you super fast, so let's make sure that we make a little bit of water before we leave. Starting to get kind of late. Let's go ahead and pick that up, and let's grab some torches out of this, and let's start heading out. We got a little bit of heat back. Now that it's super foggy, it's going to be really hard to see what I'm doing. I'm fairly certain I remember which direction I was heading, and I'm going to keep heading in the direction I think of as north. If you got fog like this on your first time, especially if it was your first time inside of Forlorn Muskeg, that might be really harsh. I've played this game a whole heck of a lot, so I just remember all these maps pretty well. Who knows, I could even be turned around here. I just know if I stick by the right side of me, I'll end up getting to where I want to go. The health bar at the bottom left is your main key to survival in Interloper. It's going to go down a whole heck of a lot the entire time you're playing. You're going to be battling trying to find any type of birch bark tea or herbal tea inside of houses and such, because that's going to get you to regenerate pretty well overnight, and keeping that health bar up and staying alive is your main focus. At some point I should end up running into the railroad, and then I'll know exactly where I am. The wind can be a very big enemy. You can see at the top of my screen, there's a thing that shows that it's windy and I was protected by the wind. But in a game where you want to travel a lot with torches and such, the wind can be a big deterrent to traveling. And sometimes you really have to travel in order to stay alive. You need to go out and loot. So trying to make sure that you have any type of flare. Flares can go on and protect you from wolves and other animals while it's windy, but torches cannot. Always keep in mind that wolves won't attack you unless you get too close, or you have a lot of meat on you, and keeping a torch out like this keep you really safe. Anyway, we've ended up finding the railroad here, and we're going to go ahead and take it this way, to the right. This will get us out of Forlorn Muskeg into Mystery Lake. When we get into Mystery Lake, there will be another railroad, and we're going to follow that, and it'll end up taking us into the Mystery Lake camp office, which is going to be a great place to stop off and call base for a period of time, until we can end up grabbing enough resources to maybe forge and make ourselves some items that we need to survive. In Interloper, you can't end up finding any hatchets or knives, so you have to end up making your own, which requires you using the forge and getting the temperatures up really high. So we'll have to collect scrap metal to make it, and coal in order to get the forge hot. Once you get on your feet after the first day, survival becomes a lot easier. You'll end up finding clothes and other necessities, which will be able to keep you warm, keep you from getting frostbite, and having a base of operations to always go back to is really important, not only for leaving stuff off, because things that you carry will begin to get really heavy, but also it will give you a center. If you know where your base is at, say you head off in a certain direction, you know I just need to go back this way in order to get back home. My plan from here, I'm probably going to end up eating a few of these cattails because we have several of them. I don't want my temperature to drop more than, or I don't want my health to drop more than it has to. Normally throughout the day you're going to be starving yourself and then eating at night before you sleep, because starving barely takes any health away, but we're worried about freezing right now, so we want to get to the camp office as soon as possible. You can see by the eye in our lower left corner that I'm going to really need to get to sleep soon. or I'm going to get really tired, not be able to run, and barely be able to carry anything. But we're also going to need to go ahead and start a fire and make more water once we get there, because we're going to want to be topped off on water whenever we go to sleep, because it'll help you sleep the longest. We're going to ignore that wolf there. He won't charge and attack us because of this. If we just stand still, he'll just stand there. We've ended up following until we got a clearing here. And inside this clearing, if you just keep heading this way, you can see the camp office. This fog's really killing the perception of where I'm going, but I just followed the railroad till I saw a clearing to my right. There's quite a few rose hips outside of the camp office, so let's grab these. Alright, we've made it. So one of the first few things you should keep an eye out for is actually going to be a sewing kit like I just found. That's actually kind of ironic and really cool. So the sewing kit's really important because you can actually make yourself a makeshift hat and a makeshift gloves. And turns out all you need to make those is the cloth on the curtains that you can tear down. I'm keeping a lookout for several different items inside of here that we would find really useful. One of them being a bedroll and the other one being a magnifying lens. The bedroll is used to sleep in places that aren't a house, which is really useful, and where we found the bedroll there. It's in low condition, but we could repair it up. Doesn't look like my magnifying lens is going to be here, so we're going to need to use matches to start fires. And we found matches right when I said it. One of the things we actually ended up finding was a nice little down vest, which isn't the best item, but we could use any warmth possible at the very beginning of this game. So what I plan on doing with this series, I plan on just showing you guys how I'd survive at the very beginning, kind of spitting out my consciousness of what I'm thinking while I'm playing, and try to teach you guys how to escape a certain map, kind of tell you how I think about the map, and also teach you guys how to forge. That's the whole plan of this little series. I might be doing one on how I survive different spawn points on all the different regions. That's kind of a tough thing to do. I just played until I found a map and Forlorn Muskeg came up, so here we are. Alright, now before you go to sleep, you need to know one thing. In order to sleep 10 hours on Interloper, I usually sleep 10 hours every night on Interloper. I think 10 hours is the max you can sleep before you run out of water, but you're going to need 750 calories in order to sleep a whole night without losing health. So we're going to eat up to 750 calories. We're almost there. We'll just go ahead and eat a full cattail. Now we're going to want to top off on water, and let's sleep 10 hours. Now, I am going to go ahead and start the mission of making myself some gloves and a hat. And if we look at the crafting menu here, we can see that the improvised hand wraps take 4 cloth, the improvised head wrap take 2, so we're going to need 6 cloth. Awesome enough, we've ended up making ourselves a hat, which gives us a full degree of temperature, and some gloves that give us 0.5 degrees, but more importantly, these items keep us from getting frostbite. Every little thing you find could end up keeping you alive just another day. I need a little bit more wood, so a good way to spend a little bit more time throughout the day because it's warmer later in the afternoon would be to tear down a couple of these chairs. And that beautiful noise you hear, I don't know if you hear it, is a blizzard outside. This means no traveling whatsoever, so let's go back inside. You're probably going to end up waking up in the middle of the night sometimes. And if you do that, try to pass some time by making stuff. One of the things I look to do in the middle of the night if I wake up is if I end up finding any old man's beard, I can end up making it into dressing, so. Then also, I found some reishi mushrooms, so I can get 1.5 hours of breaking these down into materials that I can actually make tea with, so I'll make those. These are just good ways to pass time to where you're not just wasting time, and when you pass time in a bed, you actually lose more food and water than you normally do. So I like to try not to do that. So what we did is just crafted all those. We ended up saving a lot of time that would have been entirely wasted. We'll go ahead and make these into tinder plugs too. Just anything we can do that'll be worthwhile. Looks like I'm going to need to craft some water. Pass a little bit of time that way. It's another good way to actually pass time effectively. It's one thing that you can't always think about whenever you first start playing Interloper is the fact that you don't have much health, because it's going to go down all the time, and you just got to get used to having low health. Just try to achieve having higher health. As well as you can do that, the better. It's not always guaranteed, though. You can't not do something because you think you'll lose health. You're always going to lose health. Try to base your idea off of, am I going to die if I travel? And sometimes that will be the case, but sometimes you have to risk death in order to survive. Because at the end of the day, everything you're doing is just based on surviving. One thing you're going to have to get used to as soon as you start playing Interloper is the fact that most of the houses and other places that you enter are probably not going to have any loot at all in them. So setting your expectations pretty low for what you can actually loot is going to be really important. So make sure to take it like, oh, I found a book and you're in the early game. You have multiple books now. That's easy fires to start. Like, that's a victory right now. Any food or clothing will just be a massive victory, especially something like a coat. really hard to find an interloper. Make sure you look under every bed or in any crevice. Like right there, I almost left this building and then I found a container. Although there was nothing in it, I had a chance. Anyway, I'm not trying to make these videos too long. I'd like to make them pretty concise because this is going to be more of a series. I hope this video helps you out, and I hope the rest of the series will end up helping quite a few people out who are interested in starting out on Interloper. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, drop me a like and subscribe to my channel. Any comments down below will be really appreciated. I like reading through them. Any tips you have for me about the series and how I could make it better, and I'll see you guys next time.